happened in 1948 was not a catastrophe. It was not a Nakba. What happened in 1948 is something which is well defined in the language of international law as a crime against humanity. And where there is a crime, there are criminals. And where there is a crime, there are victims of crime. It's not Hurricane Katrina. These were politicians and generals that cold-bloodedly decided that the Palestinians do not have the right to live in Palestine. And until we bring that historical fact from the whole tour we have done to the negotiating table, to the public opinion and the consciousness of the world, until we're going to do that, there will never be peace and reconciliation, not for the Israelis and not for the Palestinians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pappe, for sharing this knowledge with us, and for your generosity in donating your time and sharing this mind-blowing fact. We're going to open right now the floor to question and answer. And after that, Mr. Pappe will sign the books for those who brought their books with them. We apologize for not being able to provide you with books as we had promised, but if anybody needs the book, just let us know. We'll sign you up, and hopefully we'll be able to provide you with a copy. Now, for the discussion, I just kindly ask all of you that we have to have this discussion to be tolerant and mediated and moderate as much as we can. I know a lot of us are passionate about a lot of things we want to say, and we respect that, and all of us should respect each other's opinions, but we need to remember not to step on other people's toes, okay? I'll get the mediators, Ola and Mike, please. And if you have a question, put your hand up and they'll take the microphones for you guys. The microphone.
Hi, I'd just like to say two comments. First of all, we as Arabs and Muslims really have nothing against Jews themselves. And the proof of that is that when you look at Jews through history, Jews have never really set up in one place for a long time, right? And I guess for some reasons that you mentioned. But when you look at Jews in Yemen, they've been there for over 1,000 years and they're still there, and actually they're happy and they lead a normal life there. So that's a really important point to note. Second of all, let's look at the policies and the politics of the Western countries like the US and Canada, where they try to, quote unquote, they want to spread democracy in the Arab countries. Now let's look at a fact. Hamas is the first democratically elected government in the Arab world, and look what happens. They start to boycott it. So now you look at double standards. Okay, they want to spread democracy, but at the same time they don't want really democracy to spread, because democracy is actually a democratic government in the Arab countries would be against the suppression of the Western countries. And thanks a lot.
Thank you. I'll take 3 questions in a row, but that wasn't a question. Comment. You have questions?
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. I just wanted to ask you if you could comment on something. When we look at the resistance of Palestine against Israel, we're looking really at the resistance of the United States. The United States here is the great puppet master. And there are very deep religious scriptural roots behind the unwavering support of the State of Israel. It's very difficult to argue with God when God is represented by the great puppet masters of this world. And I was just wondering, as long as these people, like the Christian right, for example, remain in power, I don't see a lot of change happening. I think the trajectory is going to remain essentially the same. And I was wondering if you could perhaps comment on that, please.
Want to take another question first?
No, okay, I'll take this question then. Yeah, I do agree that America is a key factor, and American politics is a key factor. And I think that you're right. Christian fundamentalism plays a very important role in it. I don't think it's the only reason why the American policy is what it is. There are many other, I think, factors that inform the American position. But you know, I think the advantage of being an historian is that we have sort of a longer look at life, and we're not impressed by 30, 40 years, either of happiness or of suffering. And it's worth mentioning that there were times when America had a different position, and which shows that there is a potential also for a different American attitude. Very few people remember that Dwight Eisenhower was a president who was willing seriously to consider the strong pressure on Israel to allow the return of all the refugees. This is one of the reasons that Abba Eban, who was at the time Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, decided with Jewish friends of his to create AIPAC. They suddenly understood that if they won't have this leverage and this aggressive lobby group, there is a danger that common sense American presidents may ask these simple questions and give honest answers to them. So I think that there is a potential also in America for a different reality, and we all hope that some of that potential will come to the fore. So I wouldn't take a deterministic view on that, as I noted in your sort of words. I hope I'm wrong, because we don't seem to be in the same age. I mean, I'm entitled to be deterministic. I don't think you have the right at this age to feel like things cannot change anymore. And I think there are already signs in the American public opinion that things are changing. And 9/11 was an unfortunate juncture where, after the first cracks in the wall of Zionist policy were already visible, came this association of Islam, fanaticism, Palestinian